Good morning, friends. It is week 4 of Pantry Challenge. We are going into week 4, and I started a big project. I'm painting the living room, and I'm kind of starting to paint the kitchen, and that started this weekend. I had a kind of a weekend off, and then I was like, what should I do? And then Josh and I decided to paint. So then we became really busy. And I was really stressing, thinking, oh my goodness, I don't have time to do any meal prep this weekend and start the week, because typically that's what I do in this Pantry Challenge, especially is on Sunday or Monday morning. I make a big breakfast, I figure out dinner, and I do some meal prep. But I did not have an opportunity to do that because I want to get the paint done. And I know that I'm going to be doing a ton of cooking toward the end of this week because I have people coming over next Sunday and I have family coming into town, so I need to make sure I have food for them. And then I thought, Becky, you have a freezer full of freezer meals and breakfasts. You do not need to stress. This is why you do what you do. So in the event I am focused on something else and I can't spend time in the kitchen, I have already prepped food that we can still have homemade food, or we're not going out to eat, spending extra money, because I have already done the work. So this morning I pulled out some Italian style stuffed peppers. These are phenomenal. They have a red sauce on the bottom, Italian sausage and brown rice and kale in the middle that's stuffed in the pepper, and then they have a white sauce on top and cheese, and it's so good. So I'm gonna let this thaw on the counter for a few hours and then we'll bake this up tonight. I also grabbed out a thing of milk because I am out of half and half. I ran out of that. I want to show you what our refrigerator is looking like starting the beginning of week 4 of Pantry Challenge, because I was thinking I'm going to try to avoid going to the grocery store in February as much as possible, and so I'm getting creative. So I've got that thing of milk out of the freezer that's thawing. I still have some heavy cream. This is probably about half full. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my own half and half. I'm going to mix half of this heavy cream with half of my milk, and then I will have half and half. And you can see in here, Josh, even though I didn't do any cooking this weekend because we had family things, I have one more serving of shepherd's pie Josh will have for lunch. And then I grabbed out a breakfast burrito for him. And these are sadly some leftovers that do need to go to the chickens that I did not get through. We've got some cheese and tortillas. I pulled out a thing of summer squash because I'm going to make, I think with some leftover potatoes from the roast, I'm going to make a breakfast dish because this is the last breakfast burrito we have, and so Josh is going to need breakfast for the rest of the week. We've got some roast here. This is the leftover roast. I think I'm going to turn into tacos, so I'm going to use those tortillas probably and make some tacos with that roast, but I'll probably do that tomorrow since I'm not cooking today. We still have some of our store-bought yogurt and our regular yogurt, so I can have that for breakfast this morning. But you can see these drawers are starting to get a little bit bare. We have carrots. I have a whole nother bag of carrots in the outside fridge. We have some cabbage that I can make a slaw for tacos. We've got apples, cream cheese. We're going to be making an apple cream cheese cake this week, so I'm going to use that up this week. That's for the party. I have some cabbage here and some sausages, and then in here we've just got some cheese, and we've got some mozzarella, some salami and cheese, and some Parmesan cheese. So my refrigerator is starting to look a little bit on the emptier side, which is actually something that I like. I don't like when my refrigerator is overflowing and stuffed. So this is super encouraging that we are using the things, and the fact that I can just pop a freezer meal in the freezer tonight is exactly why I do what I do. I can focus on painting. I need to get my living room put back together because it is a disaster right now. And I really, the last 2 days since we started the project, I miss our evening routine, and without our living room, we can't have our normal evening routine. So I need to focus today to get that put together. And I'm also going to be enjoying watching the landscapers start to move some serious dirt out there today. So super exciting week coming up. I'm excited for this week, what it has in store, but this beginning, we're probably going to be relying mostly on our freezer meals, and then probably Tuesday or Wednesday, I'll do some meal prep, and then coming late this weekend, or coming late this week, we are going to be having a big party, and we're gonna be cooking for it, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. And I'm not breaking Pantry challenge. I'm gonna have this big party, and I'm gonna shop my shelves, shop my freezers, and we're gonna use up some of those things that I have, and I don't need to go grocery shopping to host a big party. And I'm looking forward to it. Alrighty, friend, it is time to get dinner going. I am starving, and this is gonna take probably an hour or so to cook. I'm gonna preheat the oven to 400 degrees. Here are our Italian style stuffed peppers. These are the peppers that I purchased from a local organic farmer this summer, and a way to preserve them was to make them into dinner. So I am gonna put this piece of foil on here because they're still about halfway frozen, and that way the cheese isn't gonna burn while they're in the oven. We'll let that bake for probably about 45 minutes, and then I'll take the foil off. Josh is not home yet, and they are perfectly done. The sauce is bubbling, the cheese is brown. So I'm going to close this door. And then I'm going to go ahead and rewash that towel. But you know, sometimes you gotta do things one-handed these days. So I'm gonna turn the oven off, and I'm just gonna let that stay nice and warm in there. Let me take that off so I remember. And dinner is done. Friends, this is exactly why I do freezer meals and why I do what I do, because today was not the day to be in the kitchen. You know me, I love to be in the kitchen, I love to cook, but I don't want to rely on needing to cook every night. I don't have the time, I don't have the energy. Sometimes other things take priority, like the painting. I spent most of my day painting. If I wasn't painting, I was outside enjoying watching the landscapers move some serious dirt today. They had some really big equipment moving and cutting into the hillside, and just, it was way more fun today to be able to enjoy watching them do that than spend time in the kitchen, because I can spend time in the kitchen anytime, but I can't necessarily watch them create a road in my backyard anytime. And I don't want to rely on falling into the trap of, when I don't have the energy or the time to cook, that I go and or ask Josh to pick takeout on the way home, or pick up takeout and bring it home, or whatever it might be. Nothing's wrong with that, but I like to, when we eat out, I like it to be intentional, not necessarily, I don't have the energy to cook tonight, I don't have the time to cook tonight, let's go out to eat because of that. So I make freezer meals, and the awesome thing about this freezer meal is it's a stuffed pepper that's stuffed with brown rice and kale and sausage, and the brown rice was cooked with bone broth, so it's just really just nourishing a yummy dinner, with a red sauce that has zucchini in it just to add a little extra veggie from the garden, and a nice white sauce and some cheese on the top, and it is so good. It's creamy, it's rich, it's the perfect, this is one of my favorite meals. And I can link this recipe down below if you're interested in it. It is a little bit labor intensive because it's got a red sauce, then the pepper filling, and then a white sauce on the top. I just invented this recipe when I was doing freezer meals one day, and I had extra white sauce. And anyway, that's why when I make this recipe, I always make extra and freeze it, because it freezes beautifully and cooks up beautifully. So we're gonna enjoy this really yummy dinner. I don't need to worry about a side because it's got the carbohydrate, the protein, and the veggie all in one. So super easy. And I needed to be able to have some lunches for Josh because Josh is back to work. I needed him to be able to have something that he could take for lunch, because my refrigerator, you saw it this morning, it's pretty bare, and I didn't really have anything for him to take to lunch. And then tomorrow, I think we are probably going to do another freezer meal. My parents are going to help me come paint, so maybe they will want to stay for dinner. I'm not exactly sure. We'll figure it out tomorrow, and I'll see you next time we're in the kitchen. Good morning. It's another day of painting and yard work. So what I pulled out today is I've had these naan breads in my freezer for longer than I'd like. So what I thought we would have for dinner tonight, super easy, is tikka masala. This is a curry that we made up during the last freezer meal video that we did together. And so we're gonna have tikka masala with these naan breads. I get these at Costco. And then I will figure out some sort of protein. I think I have up here in this pantry, actually, yes, right here, we have a can of chicken, so I'll put a can of chicken in it. And then I still need to figure out a vegetable. I will think about the vegetable a little bit later today, and we do need to cook up some rice. So I'll show you how easy it is to throw this meal together in a matter of minutes. I'm gonna let this thaw on the counter. Well, I'll probably put it in the sink for, I don't know, maybe an hour or two. And then once it's about halfway thawed, I'll pop it in the fridge and then we'll cook it up for dinner tonight. Hey, we are here to make dinner. To say I am grateful I have an easy dinner tonight would be an understatement. I've been painting all day, I'm tired, and the last thing I honestly want to do right now is cook. So I have some rice in my Instant Pot insert. I'm going to put some water in here. This is what is called Homestead fast food, or just, I'm having a hard time thinking because I'm so tired. Yeah, it's fast food, but I mean, it's slow food because it's homemade and from scratch, but it's fast because I made it a while ago, and all I have to do is open this bag to have a really delicious curry. This is tikka masala. I can link this recipe down below. This is so good. It doesn't take any more time to make a huge, big batch of curry at one time, and then you can freeze it in these just Ziploc bags, and then whenever you want curry, you just thaw it out, open up the bag, and it is so good. So I'm going to toss this, and then I thawed some summer squash, shredded summer squash that was frozen. Honestly, I know that I took it out of the freezer for something. I cannot remember what that is, but we need a veggie for tonight's dinner, so I'm going to throw that in there, and it's basically just going to cook down, and you won't even know that there is zucchini in there or summer squash. And then I'm going to get out a pair of scissors so that I can open, let's see, I rearranged my kitchen, and I still am learning where I put everything. This is just a bag of green beans. I'm going to add a bag of green beans too for a vegetable. We're making this a one pot thing. I don't want to make an extra side. I don't want anything to complicate my life. And then we are going to put a veggie in this. You could have this vegetarian if you wanted, but I have a can of chicken and turkey that we canned together, and I put it in the can really big, so I'm just going to cut it just a little bit so that they're not such big chunks. I like to put them in the can, or in the jar I should say, a little big so that I can kind of decide what I want to do with them. All right, dinner's ready. This just has to heat up. I'm gonna put the lid on it. I have this on really low just so that it can slowly warm up while our rice cooks. We have hardly any dishes. I need to put this in the dishwasher, but I need to unload the dishwasher first. We have our naans. I'm just gonna microwave them. You could butter them and toast them in the oven. I'm not gonna do that. I'll just pop them in the microwave for dinner. That didn't even take me 10 minutes. I did have to run downstairs to get the rice because I still don't have a container of rice up here. That's something I need to do at some point. I just haven't done it yet. So I'm really grateful for my previous self's efforts because this is awesome. So I will see you next time we are in the kitchen. Tomorrow, are we gonna do cooking? I've got some beef. I still have a little bit of leftover beef roast that I kind of want to turn into tacos. I want to take that meat and reflavor it to turn into tacos. So maybe we'll do that tomorrow. Time will tell, because I still have more painting I need to do. All right, friends, thanks for being in the kitchen with me. I'll see you next time we're in the kitchen. It is, what day is it? Thursday today. I just had some family in from out of town this morning, and my nephews were wanting to hang out with my chickens. And I was like, oh, you don't need to check the nesting boxes. They haven't been laying for weeks and weeks and weeks. Well, the chickens are clearly laying again. So I no longer have freeloading chickens. So I just spent some time washing these because it had been raining and I had not been checking the nesting boxes. These eggs were pretty dirty, but now they are perfectly clean. And we are gonna make some breakfast prep today because we have been just eating leftovers. I think I was saying I wanted to make tacos for a bunch of times, but I just have not got around to making tacos. We have no food in the house. We've eaten all the leftovers now. And so we are gonna do some prep. We're gonna make dinner tonight. We're gonna make some Instant Pot macaroni and cheese, some breakfast prep. I am having a big party on Sunday, but tomorrow is Friday and I'm gonna be doing some major party prep. So out of the freezer, I'm not going grocery shopping for this party. I can plan the menu completely based on what I already have in the house. We are in Pantry Challenge even during making or hosting a dinner party. So what I pulled out of the freezer for this party is a pork loin. This is from the whole hog, along with, this is sausage from the whole hog and bacon from the whole hog. So we're gonna make a pork stuffed sausage pork loin with bacon wrapped around it. The breakfast prep we're gonna do, my mother-in-law gave me these spiced canned blueberries. These are 5 spiced blueberries. We're gonna put some peaches in our breakfast. So it's gonna be peaches and blueberry baked oatmeal. We're gonna make an apple cheesecake. So I need to get some graham crackers out for the cheesecake, some onions. Josh needed another gallon of milk, and so did I, for dinner tonight. So that's been thawing here. And now we have all of our eggs. But the first thing we're gonna do while we're in the kitchen is dinner. I'm gonna get dinner going. So in here I have about a pound of whole wheat pasta. We're gonna make Instant Pot macaroni and cheese. I've got a quart of homemade, home canned chicken bone broth. So we're gonna get that in there. If you've never made macaroni and cheese in the Instant Pot, it's awesome. We're gonna add a little bit of salt and some black pepper. Lid on it, vent to close. And then I'm gonna cook on high for 4 minutes. So now our dinner is going. While dinner is going, I'm gonna get going on some breakfast prep. Even though it is Thursday, we don't have any granola. We've eaten all the granola. I don't have any breakfast burritos in the freezer left for Josh. I don't have any breakfast really, other than things we'd have to totally make in the morning. And we tend to like to have something prepped. So I'm gonna put my pork, sausage, and my bacon in the fridge because that needs to chill because it is now basically thawed. My pork loin is still frozen solid, so I'm gonna let this thaw a little bit longer on the counter before I stick it in the fridge. But let's get going on breakfast. I'm gonna preheat the oven to 350 degrees, and this is what we're gonna bake our baked oatmeal at. I just realized I forgot in that macaroni and cheese, I was going to add some of these sausages that I get at Costco. These are the sweet pineapple sausages. I was gonna saute them up on the saute mode in the Instant Pot and cook these with the noodles, but I forgot, so we're gonna do that in just a second. On the stovetop, I just didn't want to dirty another pan. Oh well. So I thawed that milk, and I had just enough milk. I need 1 cup to finish our macaroni and cheese in. Oh, you know what? Yeah, that's already sealed. I can't open that. So I don't want to use my fresh milk. Well, I can't use the rest of my fresh milk in my baked oatmeal because it's still completely frozen. So we're going to use some powdered milk. I love keeping powdered milk on hand for baking because you can't even tell that it's in there. So I just put some water and some powdered milk in here. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add our peaches. So I have a pint of peaches. I'm gonna add the syrup and everything in there because I put just a little bit of sugar in those peaches to flavor baked oatmeal. That's what those were for when I made them. We're gonna put 4 eggs. I haven't been making baked oatmeal because I haven't had very many eggs, and I like to put a good amount of eggs in baked oatmeal for a little extra protein. So we're just gonna mix this up here. Now I'm gonna add some oatmeal. These are just rolled old-fashioned oats. I'm gonna put about 2.5 cups in there. I've made this so much, I don't really measure anymore. I just kind of fill a 9 by 13 and I cook it and mix it in the same dish so I'm not dirtying up another dish. I just added a little bit of salt to that. And then I'm gonna add some vanilla. And because I sweetened those peaches, I don't need to add a lot of sugar, but I am gonna add just maybe a couple, 1, 2, 3 tablespoons of sugar just to add a little bit more sweetness to it. Mix that up. And then these are some I guess I already opened that, darn it, it's okay. Some 5 spiced blueberries that my mother-in-law made and gifted to me. So I thought that would be really good flavor profile to mix in with the peaches. Oh, that smells so good. I don't want all that syrup in there. So I'm going to kind of scoop the blueberries out and kind of gently mix them in with just a little bit of the syrup. That's so pretty, that the peach orange with the purple, that's gorgeous. I didn't want the whole baked oatmeal to be purple, that's why I kind of dolloped it in there like that. The last thing I'm going to add to this baked oatmeal is a little bit of butter. I used to melt the butter and then mix it in, but I've been doing this so long now, I just take some butter, I cut them, and I just kind of plop them on the top, and then it kind of makes a yummy buttery top. But you could certainly melt the butter and mix it in if you wanted to. And that's probably good there. Now I'm going to get this baked oatmeal into our preheated oven, and that's going to bake for about 35 minutes or so. While our baked oatmeal is baking and our pasta is cooking in the Instant Pot, I'm going to go ahead and prep our sausage and shred a bunch of cheese. Typically when I make this, I can link the Instant Pot recipe, macaroni and cheese, down in the description box. The recipe technically calls for, I think it's Monterey Jack and cheddar. Well, I only have cheddar today, so that's what we're going to use. I'm going to get this shredded up, but I want to, before I do this, I want to cook up some of these sausages. I could just throw these into the Instant Pot and warm them up, but I have found that these sausages taste so incredibly delicious when they are charred and brown just a little bit. So I am going to take that extra step. I wish I had remembered to do this in the Instant Pot so I'm not dirtying my cast iron, but it will be worth the effort of taking just a second to brown up these sausages. My cast iron was in my oven, so it got nice and hot and preheated in the oven while the oven was preheating, but now I have it on my stove. I do have it off, but it will only take a second to heat up so we can get a nice char on these sausages. I put a little bit of oil in our cast iron, and we're going to get these browned up. This was the pre-shredded cheese I had in my fridge. I want to use this today because it's been in there for a while. So I've got about 1 cup here, and I need 3 cups total. So that is probably about 3 cups of cheese for tonight. And then I did obviously shred quite a bit extra. So I'm going to put that in this dish, and this is going to go into the fridge for another time, and I won't have to shred cheese. To keep these big blocks of cheese fresh in my fridge, I just wrap a piece of saran wrap. I only take the plastic off the part that I shred, so the original plastic is still on the majority of this block of cheese. I wrap it in saran wrap, I plop it in the fridge, and I I think only once have I had one of those go bad, and it was never a cheddar cheese, it was a mozzarella cheese, and it just stays fresh a long time in the fridge. So I've got my cutting board with my cheese. Our Instant Pot is done. And so are our sausages. You can see how nice and brown we got that. That's just gonna add a lot of flavor. I turn this cast iron off. And now what I wanna do is release the pressure on this Instant Pot, but I don't want the steam going up onto my cabinets. So I'm gonna grab a towel, put it over my Instant Pot, and release the pressure. Oh, it's already done. That way. And our noodles are done. We've got a couple more ingredients to add. Let me just make sure these, yeah, those are done. Those are perfect. So we're gonna add our cheese that we shredded, a cup of milk, 2 tablespoons of butter, our sausage that we browned. I want to add a vegetable to this because I want this to be a one-pot dinner. So I'm going to add maybe 2 handfuls of frozen peas. We're going to stir this together. The residual heat from this is going to melt the cheese. It's going to warm through the peas. The cheese is going to help thicken the sauce with the butter and the cheese. This is just as easy as making one of those box macaroni, and trust me, the flavor on this is so delicious. You could really make this however you want. You could add frozen broccoli instead of frozen peas. You could leave out the vegetable altogether. You could add whatever type of cheese you want if you have a preference on, or just whatever cheese you have on hand. I do want to add, I know, some of our freeze-dried Parmesan cheese in here. That'll help thicken the sauce, and it'll just add a nice sharp flavor to it. It's always good to have, I think, a couple different flavors of cheese if you can, just to kind of depthen that flavor. But if you only have cheddar, that would be totally fine too. This just needs a second to melt all that cheese, and then we're going to give it a taste test. And while that's melting, I'm going to go ahead and put these eggs in containers. This is the last store-bought egg I have in my house. Well, it's the last of one of the containers, and look at the size difference. Because I think the egg shortage, the hens that are laying eggs for the stores are such new chickens. This is such a small egg compared to the egg that my chicken just laid. So we're gonna get these in here. I'm going to my mom's house on Saturday for a family dinner, so I don't have to do any cooking on Saturday. And I'm gonna gift her this 1 dozen eggs because it's been since Thanksgiving since she's had any of my homegrown eggs. And with how much my parents help me around here, I like to try to keep them in eggs as much as possible. And it's been a long time since they've had any fresh chicken eggs. So I'm gonna have to go out there every day now and kind of figure out how many eggs we're getting. They have fresh, clean nesting boxes, and I'm really excited about that. How beautiful is that? All right, so I'm gonna put these in the fridge because I washed these. If you do not wash your chicken eggs, your fresh chicken eggs, you do not have to refrigerate them, but these eggs were dirty because it's been rainy and gross, and I did not know that they were laying, and so they have been walking on them with dirty feet because there were so many eggs in the nesting boxes. But if they're clean and they come out from the chicken coop clean and I keep them on my counter, I don't worry about washing them, and I don't have to put them in the fridge. I'm gonna need to make Josh some more breakfast burritos with those eggs because he has loved having those. Oh yeah, this is nice and thick and cheesy and ooey and gooey. So now we need to give this a taste test. This was so easy. So I want to get a little bit of the peas, a couple noodles, and a piece of that sausage. That is perfect. You've got the really richness from the cheese, both the Parmesan and the cheddar, the sweetness from the sausage and the peas. That is a perfect dinner. It needed a little bit more pepper to kind of balance the sweetness. But here's a beautiful one-pot dish that everyone in your family is going to love. So, so good. And because we made it with the bone broth, not water, it just gives such a depth of flavor that is incredible. Wow, we got dinner done in less than 10 minutes. We have breakfast, we got the eggs put away. Oh, there's one more task I want to do today. And that's to get those freeze-dried mashed potatoes out of the freeze dryer. They've been in there plenty of time. They should be done at this point. So I'm curious to see how they're doing. So it looks like they're done. So in order to open this door, what we need to do is release the pressure. There's a valve back here that, see, there it goes. I'm gonna release the pressure out of this chamber, and then I should be able to, no problem, let's see, open it. Oh yeah. Those are done. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to say defrost. So that's gonna turn the machine off. There's a pile of ice that's formed around the outside. So the moisture that was in these potatoes turns into ice and forms around the outside. So that needs to melt. And there's a tube that it's gonna melt. And I have a pot here, and it's gonna melt and drain into this pot. And I'm gonna bring these inside, and we are going to figure out something to put these in, because I'm not sure what I'm gonna put those in quite yet. Now, I have yet to reconstitute freeze-dried mashed potatoes before, and I didn't even think it through. Maybe I should have just freeze-dried mashed potatoes without putting the butter or milk in it, but we freeze-dried them so that they would be like totally instant. They smell like mashed potatoes, and I'm curious when we reconstitute them how we're gonna like them. I probably should not have done 4 whole trays. I probably should have just experimented with, I don't know, 1 tray to see if we like them. But it is what it is now. We're gonna get these packaged up. I don't think this is done freeze drying, because there's actually ice crystals still in those mashed potatoes. So these need to go back in the freeze dryer. Darn it. Now that I made an entire mess. Another thing I did when I was freeze drying these potatoes is I stacked the trays very, very thick. You can see that the potatoes are coming above the edge of the tray. So this is definitely taking a long time to freeze dry. So back in the freezer these go. Back in the freeze dryer they go. Okay, we've got that going again. I'm gonna clean up my mess. This little bit of potato here that I have on the counter, I'm gonna go ahead and give to the chickens so they can enjoy that. And we have dinner done. I got dinner done a little bit early. I still need to take the baked oatmeal out of the oven. We're having an early dinner today because we've only eaten breakfast. I will package up that baked oatmeal into leftover containers so that Josh can eat that throughout the week. I think that's gonna turn out really good. I'm glad that we got the things out of the freezer we need for tomorrow's party, and we are gonna enjoy a delicious macaroni and cheese, and that is plenty, so we'll have some lunches. Now tomorrow for dinner, we got a gift card to a really nice restaurant, and I'm so excited to try this restaurant out. My parents went there on Christmas Eve with some of their friends, and they said it was phenomenal. So I'm really excited. I'll show you what we order when we get there. But right now we've got this beautiful, delicious, easy macaroni and cheese we're gonna have for dinner tonight. And that was so easy. I'm excited for tomorrow for prepping all of the party food. Now we are in Pantry Challenge, so I'm gonna make a stuffed pork loin that's gonna be wrapped in bacon. It's gonna be delicious. We're gonna roast some potatoes from the garden. And then my sister-in-law who's coming over asked if she could bring anything. Well, I don't have any fresh veggies in the house other than carrots and some cabbage. So I asked her if she'd be willing to bring a vegetable. So that's another way you can get through a pantry challenge, is by, if you're having a dinner party and people offer to bring stuff, take them up on their offer. And I just remembered I need to start some no-knead bread tonight so that I can make some breadcrumbs for the stuffing for the pork loin tomorrow. So let's actually go ahead and get some no-knead bread going real quick. In here, I have 1.5 cups of water. I have no breadcrumbs in the house right now. So I'm gonna make an entire loaf of no-knead bread so that I can make enough breadcrumbs for tomorrow and so that I can have some just in my house. So we're gonna add 3 3/4 cup of just all-purpose flour. I'm just gonna eyeball my yeast and I wanna see how close I am. So I needed a ½ teaspoon of yeast, and that eyeball of that yeast was absolutely perfect. That is incredible. I've never done that where I've measured what I've eyeballed before, and that was kind of fun. So now I know my eyeball of a ½ teaspoon of yeast was about perfect there, spot on. So we're gonna mix this together. It's gonna come together a shaggy dough. We don't need to knead this, we just need to mix it enough until the flour is all hydrated. So this is what you want it to look like. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth or anything like that. We're going to go ahead and take some non-stick cooking spray. This is just some avocado spray. I like to spray it so the top doesn't dry out because it tends to like to dry out. And I've also found that if you take your cloth that you put over it and you get it wet, it doesn't have to be soaking wet, just damp. So I'll squeeze any of the extra moisture out. And you put a damp cloth over the top of this, then it helps it from drying out as well. So I'm gonna let that sit overnight. I will cook that first thing in the morning, and then we can turn that into the breadcrumb slash like kind of stuffing that we need for the pork loin for tomorrow. So we've got everything out, I think, from the freezer that we need for tomorrow's party. I'm gonna dish up Josh and I's dinner. I will take out that, we should probably check the baked oatmeal. Baked oatmeal is done. I wish you could smell this. The 5-spice blueberries, I think, is just taking it over the top. Now when I make baked oatmeal, because I put so many eggs in it, I like to underbake it so it doesn't get too dry. So when I push on it, it kind of has a little bit of give because it's still soft on the inside. So that's perfect. So we'll let that cool, and then that will be Josh's breakfast for the next couple days. Hey friends, it is Friday night and I spent the day prepping in the kitchen. We made a apple pie cheesecake, a stuffed pork loin, and I prepped some other sides for a party we're having at our house on Sunday. But tomorrow I'm going to be at my parents' house all day because we have some family in town and we're doing a big party over at my parents' house. So I don't need to cook tomorrow, but I don't also have time to prep for the party tomorrow. So I thought I would take today to go ahead and do that. And one of the nice things about that is Josh and I are going on a date tonight. We just dropped off the baby with one of his grandparents who was asking if they could hang out with baby, so they get to hang out with him, and we are going to a really nice dinner. We have a gift card from a family friend and it was kind of like a baby gift, and so we are going to go enjoy a really nice dinner and I'm really looking forward to it. So we're going to go all out. We're probably going to get an appetizer and an entree and a dessert. Josh and I have hardly eaten anything today. The only thing we've eaten is some bread, so we're both pretty hungry. We're doing an early dinner. It's about, our reservations are for 5:30, so we're pretty excited to have a nice dinner that I don't have to cook tonight. This is the first date we've been on since the baby was born, and it's gonna be really fun to enjoy this really nice restaurant. It's called Element, and it's really cute, or Elements, and it's got a vegetable on it. I think that's a beet. So where do we go? This way. Thank you. Josh and I love being at home and spending time together at home, but this dinner was a good reminder that spending time outside the home is something we're going to prioritize a little bit more, because it was so nice having a few hours just to be able to talk uninterrupted without the obligations of being at home sometimes provides. Here is a butter that was phenomenal. It was a caramelized shallot butter with honey, and I was so inspired. We decided to go ahead and make this for our upcoming dinner party this weekend. And another thing that I've always wanted to try that I've just never done, and I've heard it's super easy, is creme brulee. And now that I had it on this night for dessert, I'm convinced that I'm going to be making this for an upcoming dinner party, and I'm excited to bring you along. Here is how our dinner party turned out on this Sunday. My sister-in-law made some roasted vegetables with a yogurt sauce that was phenomenal that I'm going to recreate as well. Our pork loin turned out great, and then I did make my own version of caramelized onion and honey butter to go along with our bread, and this was so good. Well, friends, thank you for hanging out with me during Pantry Challenge Week 4. That was amazing. We got a ton of stuff done. We got painting projects done. We had a big party at our house, and we still have yet to buy anything at the grocery store, which is pretty impressive. I am in the kitchen right now starting to do some meal prep for week 5. And the only thing that I really have run out of currently is I don't have any half and half, and I do have some heavy cream that I'm gonna thaw out of the freezer, and I'm gonna mix that with some milk so I can use that in my coffee, but that'll probably only last me a week or so. And so I'm gonna see if I can go, well, we'll see. We'll see how far we can go without going grocery shopping. But the first thing that I'm gonna absolutely run out of that is something that I use every day is my half and half for my coffee. And we still have some fresh produce in the house that I think we can get creative and make some delicious meals between the fresh produce that I have. It's limited, but we also have a bunch of stuff, produce that is frozen and canned and dehydrated and freeze-dried. So I think we're doing pretty good. I'm excited about week 5 because it's gonna be a little bit more of a challenge, but this is where it gets fun and this is where it pushes our creativity. So I hope you enjoyed this week. I can't wait for next week. And if you enjoyed this video, I can pop a couple of my other videos here. You can go enjoy between now and my next upload. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. And I can't wait to see you next time. Bye, friend.